Hello everybody, my name is Tiffany, I'm the Tipsy Artist, and today we are going live to paint our beautiful Scarecrow. Such a cutie pie. The first thing I'm going to do is talk to you about the trace though, because we have some interesting things happening today, and I definitely have a traceable for this project today, and I also have a lovely banging noise behind me. So it's live on Facebook, so you just have to go with whatever you get, but it's not a ghost. We do have a neighbor over here. It is a really thick brick wall, but we do have a lovely neighbor, and apparently they're, I don't know, maybe they're hanging something up. So anyway, it'll probably go away. But let's talk about our cute little traceable here. All this detail comes with the pack. So all this detail is definitely needed for this project. So you'll have all that for you to make it super fun and easy, and then we give you the graphite paper to do the transfer as well. So to me, it's actually easier than the template. To me, traceables are a lot easier than templates, because you have the graphite paper and then all the detail, and it lines it all out for you with all the proportion and everything done. All the fine details too are given to you. So I've got all the buffalo check mapped out as well, and I've got that here. I do have a little bit of a head start with my black to begin with, and then let's see, I'll do this picture of this. I know I've got a picture of this already, but I basically just do my black, and then I've got my little head start here. And then, because I do gray surrounding all of the black to begin with. The other thing I did to help myself out is that I know my pumpkin will be orange, and so I just went ahead and did a gray base coat to begin with. And hello, welcome. That way I know that my orange will have a really good solid foundation. So that's a little hint if you have the time to do that. Some of those colors that are very transparent to begin with. Ah, yes, thank you. Happy hump day. It is. It's Wednesday. It is. And it's hot here. I'm going to turn on my little fan. I'm like, oh my gosh, I need a fan. So yes, gray foundation for orange. Sometimes that works really well with red too. So that's a great foundation there as well. And then we have this buffalo check, and I thought I had it all mapped out, and you know what? I do not. So this might be kind of fun for you to go through that journey with me. But I basically start with my black in a horizontal pattern first. So I went ahead and did that. Black here, black here. Now, it would have been here, but it's covered up by the pumpkin. And then it's actually right in here. This actually will be a little bit of black background in here. And then once I get that going, then I put gray on all four quadrants around it. So gray goes on top, sides, and bottom. So I have that all through here. Now this next row in buffalo check, it alternates with gray and white. So then I won't do the black again and through here. So it would be white, gray, white, gray, white, gray. I put a little G for gray there, so we're all set there. We're all set on this line. Then this line, again, it's that mix between white and gray. Oh, thank you, Laura. Thank you so much, and welcome. So on this one, it is white, gray, white, gray, white, gray. So I need one more G for gray. Now I'm all set. Yippee! All right, so that's how I've got that graphed out, so we're all ready to go there. All right, now let's go ahead and talk about all of our tools. So we have our brushes that come with your kits, and then your paint, and then of course the canvas and the traceable. So all this detail is all mapped out for you, but you'll have all that too, and the graphite paper to transfer it. So we're all set here, ready to go. Now when I go ahead and start to paint, I'm going to go ahead and do my color blocking first. So I just want foundation color. So I don't do any of the outline yet. That comes in later. Now I know it's a little bit confusing seeing it here because I did go ahead and use a Sharpie to firm mine up. I do that so that you can see this really well through the filming process. So Sharpie is optional. You're welcome to just use a pencil too to get this whole first part of this started. So again, this is optional. But I am a huge fan of Sharpies, but I always encourage you as beginners to go ahead and do pencil first. That way there's forgiveness and it definitely won't show through the paint. But then once you feel like you're really happy with all the firm lines and everything that comes out in the foreground, you know, first, then you can firm up some lines with your beautiful little Sharpie. So That is certainly optional. I love it personally. Okay, so now what we're gonna do is, let's see, we're gonna go ahead and start with the sky first. So we'll talk about mixing that up. So I'm gonna start with my Mama brush, and let's talk about our little family here. So with our kit, we've got Mama, and then we've got Little Buddy, it's a little flat, and then we have Little Bit, all right? So those are our 3 little brushes that come with the kit. I'm gonna use the largest brush, this is Mama, and I'm gonna go ahead and take a nice big dollop of the white here, and then a dollop of the blue, and then a dollop of the green. So about 3 equal parts there. That will give me a really pretty turquoise color. And then I will also make sure I've got lots of white nearby as well, so I'll push that into the mix as I go, because I want to keep my sky really nice and light. So it almost kind of looks more like a sea foam back there, which I really love. So I've got a lot of white that I'll mix back and forth. So I've got my turquoise mixed up here, again, about 3 equal parts, blue, green, and white. Then I've got lots of just pure white in the background. So I'm gonna mix those 2, I'll alternate as I go. So I'm gonna go ahead and push this back and forth here. I use the flat side of the brush and just hold that brush parallel to the canvas. And then I go ahead and just keep pushing this in on the surface. Now here's time for that white. So I go ahead and push into that pure white. I'll push that in too. I'll alternate back and forth. So that's gonna start to really lighten it up. Just back and forth here. Now I've got a little bit of cut-in work to do. This is coming in around that hat. So I'll cut in next to that. So with that move, I had to go ahead and hold the brush more like a pencil, so that gives me that thinner line edge there. A little bit more control with that. And then as I work back out into the sky, then I'll go ahead and turn that brush back over to the flat side. So again, coming back in for more cut-in work. And I know I went ahead and did my little clouds here. Not sure why I did that. A little bit of an overachiever, but I'm gonna paint over them. That's just kind of, don't know why I did that. Because clouds are so easy to come in with later. All right, so I'm gonna keep coming in here. To me, it's easier just to go ahead and paint into this whole section. And I'm still just doing that little cross stroke, so it looks like I make little letter X's over and over again. Remember to keep pushing into that white just a little bit as you go, kind of alternate it back and forth. A little bit more cut-in work here. If you do need to use a smaller brush for the cut-in work, more than welcome to do that. The way you hold the brush is still about the same, just like a pencil. Some people prefer to have a smaller brush to work into those tinier areas there. So again, I'm still just grabbing just about equal parts from pure white and my turquoise as I go ahead and work in this next section here. Little cross strokes, just back and forth, keep working this in. All right, so this is the little hat that comes down, little leaf. Little bit of hair. So my hair will definitely come in over the blue sky here in a moment. So I'm gonna go ahead and work the sky into the hairline, because I want to make sure that if there's any peekaboo happening, that you've got sky coming behind the hair, because that's what would happen naturally. You wouldn't want just white space in there. So I'm going to go ahead and just do a little bit of that sky background right in through that area. Just continue to go ahead and work this in. Still continuing on with our little X's, back and forth, back and forth. You can really lighten it up a little bit more if you want. It's just up to you. And I'm going to be a little bit sloppy here. I want to make sure I get good coverage around that little stalk that comes up. I know it's quite a bit darker. I know the Sharpie will bleed through, so I'm going to go ahead and do a little bit of an overpaint there. And I'll just touch that up later. Yes, and I realize, I'm gonna think out loud a little bit. Not all the professionals may agree with some of that sloppy behavior, but here's the deal. My main objective for y'all is to relax and have a really good time. So anytime you can just give yourself some freedom to just relax and have a very fluid stroke and get lost in the moment, take advantage of those moments. Because that's what we're here for, is just to relax and have fun with this. So sometimes my teaching will skew to the crazy, just have fun. I let that take precedent over, you know, true fine art skills. Sometimes. Life's too short. You just gotta have fun with it. And we'll touch that up later. So just, you know, breathe, relax, have fun. All right. So we have our beautiful sky done now. And let's see here. Now, I'm not gonna color block in the hat yet because that is so dark and black. I'm gonna save that to the very end because I have all these really just super bright, beautiful colors that have to work in here. And I don't want that wet black paint interrupting that bright color. Hello, Deborah, thank you. I know. The comment is, I love the Scarecrow, can't believe it's almost fall. I can't believe it either. In fact, I'm seeing, well, we did Christmas in July, so that really put a rush on things. That was really crazy. But yes, fall is really almost here. I mean, it's just, oh my goodness. It's kind of crazy. All right, so we've got all these really bright colors in here. I've got a lemon, I've got a sunflower. So let's go ahead and get some really fun yellow. Hi, Donna, welcome. All right, so I've got some fun yellow here. This is just a really pretty primary yellow. And if you want, with our kit, we also have, this is kind of fun. Let me just play with this a little bit. This is a cadmium yellow, so this is also kind of fun. Hello, Larry. All right, so we have our cadmium yellow and our primary yellow. You know, if you want to, you can add a little bit of white to this too. Hi, Tina, thank you so much. Yeah, this is one of my favorites. And a little touch more white. All right, so I'm gonna go ahead and push into the yellow lemon. Go ahead and get that little cutie in there. And then we have this gorgeous sunflower. And I'm just getting the color blocking in first, so I'm not really too concerned about those petal lines for right now, because we'll come back in later and firm up those details. So for right now, this is kind of what I was talking about earlier. So take those moments when you can to relax through the process, because we can always come back in with detail. And in this case, it really works for us to do that. Because we'll come back in with a dark black at the end and hit that. So beautiful sunflower here. Got our color blocking done now. And then let's see, we've got some really pretty roses happening, lots of those. So I want to change the color a little bit. Hi Misty, first time watching, welcome from Southern Oklahoma, welcome, welcome. So here's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna add a little bit of some primary magenta to this color here and a little bit of white. It almost gives me like a really fun kind of a coral color. So I'm gonna push this into some of these really pretty roses. Now in the beginning with my roses, I don't worry about the details. I just go ahead and just fill them all in so they look like little lumpy circles. Hello. Okay, so I'm gonna have to, you're gonna have to tell me. So this is Rakesia or you know what? I'm not sure how to say your name. but hello. You have a beautiful name. I don't know if I got it right or not. You'll have to tell me. And thank you so much. I love beautiful, unique names. I just wish there was a way on Facebook to figure out the phonetic pronunciation of it. Sometimes what I do is I'll go ahead and take a chance, and then somebody will tell me in the comments later. You can say, you got it right, or no. We'll just keep trying. All right. Oh, you know what? Here's an idea. In the comments, okay, hold on, Larry. I'll tell you in just a second. In the comments, you can actually do a little voice thing. Somebody was telling me that. You can actually just hit the little microphone, and then you can say your name, and then that way I can hear your name, and then I'll know how to say it. So you could do that if you can figure it out. I mean, I didn't know how to do it, but somebody was telling me how to do it the other day. So, yeah. Okay, so Larry says, hi, Tiffany. I was just showing Betty some of your show. Yay! Hi, Betty. Welcome. Let's see. I want some red. I want some red roses. You got it wrong, but it's okay. LOL. Yeah. I didn't know if I was. It looks beautiful, and I didn't know. Yeah. All right, so I'm going to do a little bit of red, a little bit of white. So I'm wondering now if it's Raquacia. No? Or yes? I don't know. All right, so I'm gonna add a little bit more white. Let's do a little bit more of that magenta. Let's do some pink too. So, I said her too bad, did the voice deal. I've heard you talk before, you do not. Some people enjoy doing only voice messages. So I have some people that write me on Facebook, and they don't even write me, they just send me a voice message, and that's what they like to do. Which I get, because then you don't have to do any of the typing. You can just, hit mic and talk and leave me a voice message, just like an old-fashioned phone. So, all right, so I just mixed up a little bit of some primary magenta and the white. And I'm going to push that in. So I still have the warmth of that red, but now I've got a little hint of some pink. And again, all my roses kind of look like little lumpy circles, and that's awesome. Because I promise I'm going to make them look more like roses here in a moment. So just give it a little bit of time, we'll get there. All right, wonderful, wonderful. Okay, now I have this really pretty little fall leaf in here. Oh, okay, so like Acacia. Did I do that one right? That's like the singer, and I may have to look up how to say her name. Because it's either Keisha or Keisha. So now let me know if I said Keisha right. We're making progress on this name. It's going to be amazing. Okay, okay, fall leaf right here. All right, so I am going to do a little bit of some gold and a little bit of some, oh, I'm out of red. Let's do some more cadmium red. This is a nice warm red. Let's do some of that nearby. Okay, a little bit of cadmium red, warm red, and some gold. All right, so I've got this fall leaf happening in here, so I'm gonna go ahead and fill that into this space. Again, we are still just doing our color blocking. And I'm gonna go ahead and push this through because I know it's in the background. And then I'll fill in, there's a little leaf that pops in there, but I'm gonna go ahead and just have that pop in over the top. And I know that my Sharpie will just bleed right through, so I'll still have this to be able to see it. So go ahead and come back in with that. Okay, so we're making good progress there, nice fall leaf. All right, now we've got some really fun little feathers to work in. And I have a few of them that are like a violet and a lavender. How many paintings have I done so far? Oh my gosh, in my whole life? Or I have thousands, but so far, well, just since the pandemic alone, I have done, I think, over 100 that I've been able to post online. So I've been painting a lot, which I love. It's very therapeutic for me, so it's a way to release stress. As you can just imagine, during this crazy, crazy time, I just paint like crazy. All right, so I have violet and I have a foil lid, so I need to take that off. It's brand new. How nice. Okay, so I'm gonna go ahead and do a little bit of violet here. There that is. And then I'm going to add just a teeny amount of white to this. Still using my mama brush. All right, so that makes it really beautiful, kind of brightens it up a little bit. Add a little bit of white to the violet. And I'm gonna go ahead and push this into this beautiful little feather almost. It could have been a leaf, but I'm gonna make it a feather. You'll notice that the feather shapes and the leaf shapes are sometimes quite a bit interchangeable, and you can kind of do whatever. And then I just pushed a little bit of white through the blend of that darker purple, so it gives a nice little highlight in there, but still allows some of that darker shade of purple to kind of come through. So I'll kind of go back and forth with this a little bit. And then let's see, let's do another little feather here. And then I want a little push of white in there too. That'll give me good coverage. Also creates this fun soft blend into the violet. And all right, so that's about it. Just about 2 little feathers. The rest we'll do is fun little leaves. So still using my mama brush, and I just washed it off. Quick little thing about washing off here. All right, so I've got my buckets of water nearby. And so what you want to do when you go to rinse out, I just apply some firm pressure, spin it round and round and round. That helps release that paint from the brush. And then when I come back out, then I release some of that excess water. You also, especially if you're working in a position where the painting is in a vertical position, you definitely want to eliminate any excess water from the brush because you can get water runs down your canvas. However, after having said that though, sometimes playing with a little bit of excess water can be really nice. On the canvas, you just want to make sure that your canvas is completely flat on a table surface. And then you can have a little bit more fun kind of adding water to the mix to give you finer lines, for example, or just create more of a, you can even do like a watercolor look. So there are some fun things you can do with water, but you just have to make sure that the canvas is completely flat. So a little helpful hint there. Okay, so now we're gonna go ahead and do some green, and then they don't have to read, it trails off. You painted a lot as a little girl, one of your favorite things to do, and then it trails off and I can't read the rest, so I will read that later, but you're off to a good start. All right, so we've got green and a little bit of white. Green and white. So that's gonna make it kind of pop as like a spring green. So I'm gonna go ahead and push into these fun little leaves. Now the other color that I really want, I love this color. It is pretty Viridian. So I'm gonna add just a touch of that in here. And there's my Viridian. So it has a really wonderful teal quality to it. And by the way, you could have used that for the sky too. You could have just added a lot of white to that with a little bit of blue, and that also would have been quite lovely. So I'm adding in a little bit of this Viridian, sweeping this into those little leaves. Now these leaves are getting to be pretty tiny, so I think I will switch brushes here. Starting to get that awkward feel. So guess what? Let's use Little Buddy now. So here's Little Buddy. He's got the little flat top. And I will go ahead and work into that. Now when you do have a smaller brush, sometimes it will dig into the paint a little bit more, so you do have to be careful about that. Just make sure and turn it as a second stroke. Turn it back over to the side to kind of help feather out that paint over the surface area. So I hold it more like a pencil in the beginning, and then I follow up with a side stroke where the flat side of the brush hits that surface area. A little touch of green there. One here. A lot of cute little leaves poking through here. All right, so I have my Viridian, my green, a little bit of white. And looks like one more there. Oh, more there. Hold on. So white, green, Viridian, and the basic motion on a leaf feels like making a parentheses and then another parentheses, and then just fill that in. All right, very nice. Okay, so now we need to do the face of the Scarecrow. So I'm going to go back to a bigger brush here. So I'm going to grab my Mama here. And this time it is a mix of a little bit of gold, a little bit of white, and then I'm going to do a little touch of magenta. So I just barely touch into that magenta. That'll give some of those really lovely pink hues in the mix. So let's see what we got to start with. So we're creating kind of this light flesh tone color. So dollop of white, dollop of gold, tiny little touch of the magenta, that pink shade. And then you can even lighten this up a little bit too. Now, one little thing too I'll tell you is make sure you do a really good, nice, big mix of this, because you don't want to run out of flesh tone and then try to remix, no matter what color you go with it. So, because you can do any color you want for a flesh tone, they're all over the place. I'm just doing what I typically see in the stores for our scarecrows you see all the time. Lightening that up a little bit, but I'm going to mix up a whole bunch so that it's all consistent and all has the same color tone. Because what happens, I see a lot in class, is people don't mix up enough of this paint to begin with, and then they get going and then they run out and then they have to remix and it's not the same, and then everything looks really splotchy. So you just want to make sure you mix up enough to begin with, The other thing you can do too is just buy like some little folk art craft paint. It's just a pre-mix of, I think they call it like a flesh tone color. And you can absolutely just buy something like that too. That way you've got just a ton of it and it's very even and it can just absolutely color the whole surface area without changing on you. So that's another option too. All right, so I'm gonna go ahead and smooth this on. I'm gonna start by I want good coverage and I know my Sharpie bleeds through, so I'm gonna go ahead and go into that hairline to make sure I've got good coverage in there. Work this all the way around, do my cutting work around those details. So we'll just make sure it's one nice even coat of this flesh tone color on the face of the Scarecrow. So you can see it's all nice and even, so that is a very good thing, wonderful thing. And then I still have a little bit of cutting work to do here. And just as a reminder, still doing our color blocking. So no outlines yet, no details, just getting that nice solid color into the background. So we're keeping it really still just very simple during this stage. All right, so we're good to go there. So I can go ahead and be done with that flesh tone of the fabric on the Scarecrow. All right, we're getting real close. Coming in with some darker shades here. I'm gonna go ahead and color in a little bit of some area there. So let's do a little bit more of that green in there. Do a little touch in there. Don't want any white. And so this was my Viridian and white mostly, to kind of do a little bit of a fill in here. I'm just kind of barely touching down with the brush. A little bit of texture and then just filling into those little empty spaces around the roses. And see, there's black hat in through there, so we're still good there. Can actually fill that in. All right. Okay. Wonderful. Okay, so now what we're going to do is we're going to come in with some gray, because I'm still going to let all this kind of have some setup and dry time before we actually come back in with the top part over our roses here. All right, so I need my mama brush again, so I'm going to go ahead and give mama a bath, dry her off, go ahead and remove the excess water from the brush. Okay, so I just take my little rag here, do that. So now the brush is just moist, but ready to go and paint again. All right, so now I have white and black now that I need to do to mix up for this gray. So I'm gonna go ahead and take a little dollop of the white, little touch of the black. We'll start with that just a little bit first. So we just want a medium gray. A little bit of black goes a long way. So just little touches. And just push that in with the white. All right, so now I have this beautiful gray color and a nice flat brush to go ahead and work into that space here. And I am seeing that I should have done my pumpkin. Well, I still got a black line, so I'm gonna let that go. I'll get back to that later. I was thinking, almost changed my mind on my next step, but we'll just keep going. All right, so just a little bit of this light gray in here. And all through here. So just filling in the quadrants for the buffalo check. So I definitely come into this space a lot by doing that side hold. So basically it holds the brush parallel to the canvas. So I use the line edge to do the lines around the shape, but then when I go to do the fill-in work, then I go ahead and hold that brush over to the side. So holding the brush over to the side really helps give it better coverage over the surface area. So just filling all this in, and then also you'll see how we still have some remaining white. I'm actually just going to let that stay white because that's just part of the pattern. So that the white of the canvas can actually just be the white because the canvas is painted and primed white. So you can just cheat and let that be your white. Now if you do want to go ahead and place white paint on there, you are certainly welcome to do that if you want more of that textural look. So just a few more little gray spots to go here. So there's that one, and then I have these guys right here. Need a smaller brush on these. They're in a tinier area. So I'm going to grab my little buddy. Want to make sure I preserve that line there so I don't lose where my pumpkin begins. Because I'll come in with some orange here in just a moment. Let's do a little bit of gray up here. And I am doing a little bit of some overpainting. I'll come back in and fill in that little leaf here in a moment. So I'm just going to go ahead and make sure I get good coverage into the surface area to begin with. All right, so we're all good there. All right, now I need just a little bit of black in one area over here. Hello, Shannon, and thank you. So still using Little Buddy, I'm going to come in with a little bit of black. I've got black right in through here. Just a little touch. Okay, so we're all good there. Now let's do some orange. We're gonna do some orange on that pumpkin, and I've got this primed. I did that early before the show started. All right, so I've got some beautiful orange here. And you can also warm up your orange a little bit too with like some cadmium yellow, for example. That's also something fun you can do with it. You can change it a little bit. And let's see, switch back over to the mama brush. Thank you so much. Yes, this one is a fun one. And I'm going to add a lot more of that cadmium yellow because it's going to really help it have better coverage over the surface. It'll lighten it up without really taking away the orange quality of it. Because if you add a lot of white, it's going to turn pink on you. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and get my line work done first. And it's looking translucent, so I'm going to come back in here in a moment and change the brush hold. Well, let's do a little bit of yellow too. Let's just grab all that. Oh, I like the yellow, that's pretty. So I just grabbed a little bit of primary yellow. So just go ahead and it's be easier just to smooth that out over the top. I'll come back into those roses here in a minute. All right, I have got to reload. Boy, that took just all that paint. Used it all. So more orange. And let's do more of that primary yellow because I was really loving how that was actually working. That was a great combination. All right, still very much like the quality of orange, but gave it much better coverage over the surface area. So now you want to make sure you hold the brush more over to the side. Get that really nice coverage over the surface area. All right, very nice. Okay, now we need to go ahead and do the stock on this. What colors to make? You need, see, something about colors to mix to make different colors. I'll have to read more of that later. I know we provide a big color mixing chart. Oh, yes, I'm sorry, now I see it. I'm getting both messages now. Is there a paint color chart to mix different colors? Yes. On our website, tipsyartist.com, it'll say, there's the, in the menu it says supplies, and I have the color chart there. I have the whole thing, and I just go through all this detail about how to mix every color with lots of different, like with our kit, and then also just with basic colors at the store. So yes, I do. I have all that. It's very helpful. And then I also just need to teach a class on it too, just a basic class. Got some to-dos I need to do here. Does that make sense? To-dos, to do? All right, I'm gonna do the stock color now. I'm taking my little bit brush. I've got some gold, I've got some white, a little touch of black. Kind of push that to a little bit of a taupe quality here. Now I'm gonna go ahead and take the brush and just do a little spin into that color. And then I'm going to go ahead and start at the point, come back down into this shape. All right, so there that is. And let's see. Let's do some of those roses. Let's go ahead and get the roses cut in there. So I'm going to take a little buddy brush here and let's do some contrast. So I want some magenta, a little bit of white, and then I'm going to go ahead and push that into this shape here. Now flat side of the brush. All right, so we'll kind of fill that in here in a moment. We're about to tap into a lot of our roses now with the accents. I'm going to hit that little cute nose there with some orange. So I've got my little buddy here and some orange paint. And we'll start with a line edge to begin with. And then now I want to kind of feather it out a little bit. So I'll take a side stroke to it to give it a better thick coat over the top. All right. Super cute. All right, so now we're gonna do some of those fun accents on the roses. So I need my little bit brush, and we're gonna do some white paint. So we've got a little bit and white paint. It's just a little liner brush here. And I'm gonna start by making strokes that look like little parentheses or little half circles. And I'll do this on all my roses. And I'll start on the outside, and then I just keep working towards the inside with the same stroke. So I basically just run out of room. Got little half circles here. You can start from the outside and then just, again, fill in the inside. And I start with white to begin with on all of them. Ooh, I'm picking up some black and some gray, so don't do that. Start over. So what's happening, you can see my plate. I touched into a little bit of black with my white, so I need to make sure I have clean white for this because I do not want, where's my white? There it is. I do not want gray in my roses. No, that's not good. All right, so I'm gonna get some more pure white happening here. All right, now we're good. Pure white, wonderful. Okay, and I'm gonna do a quick little lift off. I don't wanna keep spreading that around. So all good, that's gone. Little bit, white paint. Little half circles. And we're gonna hit that same pattern on all of our little roses here. Starting on the outside and then working towards the inside. And you can kind of push and wiggle the brush a little bit too as you go. That gives a nice little organic feel to it. They don't have to be perfect little parentheses every time. You want to kind of give it a little bit of variety. So a little push and wiggle. Pretty fast, fun, easy. So this is that first layer for our roses. And then we have one more layer that we'll do. Same brush, same pattern, but the darkest shade. So we'll come in with that next. So a little bit of a push and wiggle, little half circles. All right, so that's a great start. Now we need to come back in, same brush. Let's come in dark this time. All right, so we can do, let's see. We could do magenta, that's really dark. Also a little bit of red would be fun. And if you had like lavender roses, then you could even come in with like a violet too. That would be really nice too. All right. So magenta is really dark, cadmium red's really dark. I can actually even mix those two together. That'd be fun. Okay, so now I've got a little bit. And then I do a little spot right in the middle. That's that little center shadow. And I'll just do a few more of these little half circles, kind of does a little soft blend into the rose. Little center spot. You get that nice soft blend too over the rose, so it's really cool. Nice soft blend into the white. Right in the center. And I also, as I'm coming back in, a lot of times I'll retwist. So I'll retwist into that paint so that the brush doesn't get too filled with paint, start to spread out too much. So that can also be really helpful here too. So center spot. And then just a repeat of that little push and wiggle, half circle. And see, like this one I got too dark. Happens, no big deal. Just come back in with more white. I go, ooh, I don't like that. You know, so then I'll go, oh, now I do. Sweet. That's all you have to do. So just, you can keep reworking back and forth. A lot of forgiveness with these little roses. It's a really fun, relaxing stroke there. There's my white. Yeah, just keep that white handy and you can just work right back into it if you need to. Just like a little dance, just back and forth. I did that one, let's do this one. Again, still starting with the cadmium red and the magenta right in the center. Did I get them all? Oh, nope, not these guys. And they're kind of cute just the way they are too. You can keep it really simple and not come in with the darkest shade next. You can be a bit more stylized with it. Let's hit this with a little touch of purple too. That'd be kind of fun. And that purple is kind of picking up more of a magenta shade as it kind of softly blends a little bit with that other magenta, but definitely a darker hue of it. That's my sweet puppy dog, Ira, coming in. All right, really nice. Okay, so now coming in with a lot more green next, and that will definitely make certain elements really pop out with that floral accent there. So I need to make sure I've got plenty of my favorite color here, the Viridian. So here the Viridian is. So a little bit more of that, and I've got plenty of green and white. All right, so my little bit brush, more white. So that was just Viridian and white, and just that alone is pretty dynamite. So I'm liking that a lot. And then these little leaf shapes, it kind of feels like you do a little parentheses and a little parentheses, and you just close them off, make them connect, and then that's your fun little leaf shape. So you can do a lot of those little guys, they're really fun. Boy, I took a big old dollop of Viridian on that one. Push a little bit more white into it. So you could have just a few kind of play peekaboo underneath here. Also, working at home, you want to make sure that you let all this just really set up and dry before you work in with that next layer. I work fast with Alive, but the important part is you don't really want some of these colors to start to blend because they can become very muddy. So for example, I'm having to contend with orange mixing with the Viridian and the white, and it's becoming a little bit muddy on me, so I'm having to do a lot of wiping off of the brush to help it clean off a little bit. Easier way to deal with that is just let it sit up and dry, and then that way you can have a clean, bright color pop back in over the top. So since you've got time to just relax with the whole process, you don't have to worry about working quickly. So you can definitely do that. And acrylic paint takes about, well, it just depends on how thick, heavy-handed you are and what you've done, but usually about 15 minutes max is a typical dry time. Sometimes longer, for sure, but alright, so we've got these fun little, let's do a little stem that comes out, and then the fun little leaves that come out off to the side here. And then while I'm working with a smaller brush, I can also kind of come back in and refirm up little details. Same stroke, you know, just little parentheses, parentheses. See, oh yeah, I knew I had one up in here. So a little stem that comes down. And then I'm going to have to do a little twist off here. So as I'm working, see my brush became filled up and the bristles were starting to spread like that. It was becoming a little bit more challenging to get that nice fine line that I wanted. So I did a little spin, just kind of twist it between my fingertips. So that I'll spin it into a nice fine point. And then I'll just do those little tiny leaves here off to each side. Slight touch of a diagonal in terms of direction off to each side here. All right. Let's do a little bit. Well, that's my black hat. I was thinking more green, but nah. Let's firm these guys up. Oh, I forgot sky over here. How funny. Oops. Okay, let me go back and fix that. So see how I have sky here? Not here. I shall fix that. I probably started talking and got distracted. Odds are. It's kind of a occupational hazard as a teacher. All right, so let's fix that real quick. I don't want to forget that again. All right, so here we go. A little bit of the, let's do Mama again. And I actually still have that mixed up, thank goodness. So here's my original mix of that turquoise and a little bit of the white. So we'll just kind of touch in here. Comes in around the little hat. So a little touch of white in there too. Soft blend in there. Right, and now I want to kind of feather it out a little bit so it's more stylized, just like the other side. So I do a little cross stroke again, just barely kind of hit it on the side of the brush, just kind of back and forth. Gives a little bit of texture. Okay, so now, I'm trying to think, this is a lot of black. Let's do the hair next. Okay, so now we've got that straw hair coming through. And so with this, we've got, let's do a little bit of cadmium red, a little bit of gold, and even just a little bit of black too. So in that black will mix with that cadmium red, and it almost makes like a brown. So, which is nice for the straw color. And I just take it out. You kind of just almost act like you're brushing hair a little bit so that it kind of follows that same motion. So now we're going to just redo, I need more cadmium red. Hold on. More cadmium red, ran out. So cadmium red, a little bit of that black. It's going to give me a nice little brown color. So I've got a little bang happening here. And let's go ahead and kind of fill in underneath that flower. So I'll do the fill-in work, and then I'll come back in and kind of do that stroke again, where it looks like the straw coming through. Texturally, that's what it'll look like. And then that's coming through here. A little touch of gold in here too. A little highlight. We'll have to have our little highlights done, even if you're just a scarecrow. Would you agree? So here too. So let's do that first hit with the darker shades. A little bit more black coming from the depth part of it. You know, just add a little bit of depth and shadow. And then let's go ahead and hit it one more time with the line edge and the gold. So that line edge will help it have that straw-like quality, that line running through it. So a little bit of hair coming through there. And I'm going to switch to a smaller brush because I have a teeny little area to work in here with that little bit of hair. So still that look of like straw hair coming through, but working now with little bit. And I want just a few little stragglies. Stragglies? Is that a word? Yeah. See? Just a little bit kind of peeking through there. All right. Okay, we're getting real close to the black. Real close. Okay, so now, okay, so I have teeny amounts of little black to do in here. So I'm gonna take my little bit brush, making sure I don't have more light to do, kind of checking back here too. Yeah, I think we're at the point where we can start to do black. Okay, so I've got my little bit and some black paint, and I've got little sections here. This is where that little bit of that black hat will come through. Just kind of peeks through here. And it's peeking through here. And we'll really start to see the sunflower pop here in a second when the black outline comes in. So we've got a little lemon here. Threw a little lemon on there to kind of tap that lemon trend that started a couple years ago. I think that maybe how old this painting, I don't know, or a year ago. This painting I think is, I did this last fall. And I've always loved lemons. But because I'm from California. So we always had lemon trees in our backyard, very beautiful. But they really started to make their way to Texas as a trend. And a little bit in Oklahoma. But mainly Texas is where I saw it. Really bright and pretty. Alright, so now we're starting to get those outlines in here. So I've got the center of the flower that I can do. You can just do it with black, or you can make it a little bit more textural with like some of that cadmium red and those gold tones. You can do a little bit of a tap in there and make it a little bit more textural too, if you want. Because the center of the sunflower is a little bit textural, so just kind of tap it all over the top. Awesome. Okay. Now I've got some thin lines that I'll be working in, so I definitely want a thin line on the brush. I'm going to take that same brush, do a little twist into the black paint, make sure that it stays very precise. And then I'm going to brace my hand a little bit too by holding the weight of my hand on my pinky. Make sure that you don't put it into wet paint. So I have to be a little bit careful with some of the surface area, but for the most part, we did this earlier on, so it's all set up and dried now, so we're good. And see, the sunflower is going to start to look super cute. It's been a little bit lost in that raw state, but then when we start to do the outlines, then it becomes really cute over here. And now you'll notice too, like I'm doing my line work and I'm kind of digging into the center. And so I'll have to redo my center to kind of texturize it again in the center to where it's more of a circular textural effect in the center. So I'll show you what I mean. All right, so right now up close, it looks like it's got all these lines coming in to that center section. So I just tap it one more time with a little bit more of that texture over the top. Take away any of those lines that are a little bit abrupt, interrupting that space. So it makes it look a little bit more natural there. All right, we've also got some details here with this little fall leaf. So with that black, little diagonal lines that come off to the side here. So I'll do a little outline here. All right, so it's just a little bit of that kind of peeking through. All right, again, as I work back into the black, little twists again to get the brush all thinned out back to a nice fine point. All right, we also have cute little eyebrows in here, so we're gonna go ahead and get those guys worked in. Little long ovals for the eyes. This part can also be done with a Sharpie too. So especially if you have a shaky hand, strongly encourage you to use a Sharpie for this in here. And then we have tiny little lines around the little nose here. Remember to kind of do the little twist. This is a really thin line. So get a nice fine point again. All right, and then we've got long lines there too. Some of these really long lines, I actually prefer using a longer line edge brush, like the little buddy brush. It's really helpful to come into those little spaces. All right, I've got little bits of black to work in these little details in here. So I'm about to switch to a bigger brush. So I'm just gonna go ahead and work in. Okay, I've got all that worked in. I think we're good here. Actually, let's do this guy. Little light touch there. All right, now, bigger brush and black. Okay, so we need, let's do Mama, and then I'll also make sure I've got like a little buddy nearby. All right, I am cutting it close on the black. Get a little bit more black here. On a clean plate. All right, so we've got Mama and just pure black paint. And then I'm going to go ahead and push into this black hat here. So I'm going to use the line edge of the brush. See a nice thin line, hold it like a pencil, and I'll go ahead and do that cut-in work. And then just work it into the rest of the hat. Now, I want to avoid transparency, so I want to go ahead and hold that brush over to the side. Flat side of the brush. just continue filling this in. A little spot there too, and don't forget that. So I'm just working into that hat. It's that little top hat. Hit that edge again, get that firmed up. Okay. A little bit of a line here. Also do a few more little details with that hair. Just run a little bit of that black through there again. All right, now I'm going to do the line edge around the face. I want to make sure that the edge is very thin. So I do some firm pressure as I reload the brush. And I check it, and it's still very thin on the edge, so that's very helpful. And then I go ahead and just follow this all the way across. And that's actually the easiest brush to use for that long line. Makes it a lot easier. Also for that smiley face too, I would think Little Buddy would have been a better choice. I'll show you. So Little Buddy could have been a lot easier. So just, you know, use that thin line edge there. And that way you don't have to worry about a shakiness at all. Or as much. Helps a little bit. All right, so now we need to do our little bit of our line edge here throughout this shape. Just kind of get this firmed up a little bit. You can also use a ruler for this step. It's just that before you move the ruler to the next line, you've got to completely clean off your ruler so that you don't mark up your painting in the wrong spot with a black line. So it's really important. So that's a lot cleaner there around all those little edges. Makes it really nice. And if you start to notice a little bit of transparency up here, which I am noticing in the light, so then I just hit with another coat, just lightly press on the side of the brush, real gentle hand, and just kind of fill into that area there. Little feather, little center line. Diagonal lines. And I'm just going to hit it with a few more black details around the edges. Do a little quick spin into that paint. So I'm basically just coming back in around some of those leaves there. And this is optional. Not everybody likes a hard line style. It's definitely very stylized, but you may not be a fan of it. You might want your images to be a bit more raw and unfinished in that way. So just imagine even how a lot of watercolors look. They don't have a lot of harsh lines around the edges. So some people prefer a different look. So you certainly have that flexibility to not do these harder lines. The other thing you could do is maybe a middle ground of just a darker color that's not quite black, and it adds contrast and definition, but it's not as abrupt as a hard dark line. So see, like in that little area there, I could have just left the green just plain out into the sky. I didn't have to do the black outline here. So it's just a different style. So that's certainly optional. Just adding little tiny touches of black shadow Tiny little lines. So just kind of following up the stem here. And then just light little touches, kind of echoing that same shape that we did initially. Got big line there. Okay. Optional line. Still optional, but I'm gonna go ahead and do mine so that it matches the rest of the style that I have going on here. So little light, delicate hints of the black detail in here. Just tiny little touches. All right, so I've got a long line there, so I don't want to use my little bit brush because that can get real wavy and shaky on me. So I'm going to go ahead and switch gears to my little buddy. So I'll do a nice firm press into the black. And then I'll check my edge and see I've got a nice thin line there. So then I'll just go ahead and follow around this shape and apply firm pressure. Man, I think we're getting real close. All right, so we have little clouds. We've got little white details up here. All right, so I'm gonna put my little buddy brush into the bath water here. And let's go ahead and work on some white accents now. So I'm gonna do little dots. I'm gonna take a brush handle this time. So a nice clean brush handle, pure white paint. Just go ahead and push right into it. See, it's right there on the end. And then I'll press straight forward. So this kind of looks like fun little bits of white flowers or baby's breath coming through. So when I usually try to put mine in little clusters of 3. So it definitely looks like little flowers peeking through. And if you don't, like this one didn't fully compress into that white circle, so I just hit it again. I am running into a little bit of wet black paint there, so that's pretty much what's happening there. Again, working at home, not in a hurry. You can always just let it completely set up and dry, so you don't have to worry about that. All right, and then, let's see. Is that all I want there? Let's do a few more here. Okay, happy with that. All right, now I want little white accents. So I'm gonna come back in with my little bit brush and then a little bit of white. And I'll do just like a fun little white highlight there on that little lemon. And then I like to hit on the petals of the sunflower. Just a little push and then pull it out into the length of the petal and then lift off with a light hand. real simple way to add some nice dimension to your little flowers here without any stress. All right, now I want to have a few little sprays of white. Now I have to do a little white because I'm running to that white black again. So if you're all set up and dry, you don't even have to worry about that. You'll just get a nice hit of pure white to begin with. Alright, and then I want a little bit of a line happening there, just a little accent. Alright, so we're good there. Also, I want flash points in the eyes. So I'm going to be using the smallest little bit brush and the handle. So I'll dip into the white. It's that same little dot technique. Isn't that fun? Personality now. I love it. Okay, and then let's see, let's do another little, tiny little white accent here. Let's do a little bit on the green. Little bits of white on the green. Just little bits of accents. And let's do a few more here. Kind of helps make that green just pop right out in front. And then I want a little bit of an accent over the top of the pumpkin, but I'll come in with just a bright yellow. So it'll just be really light over the top, but not real contrasty with the white. So this is just primary yellow. And the stroke on this kind of feels like you're making a parentheses. All right, we're getting real close to being done. So we still have our little clouds to do. And I can definitely see them peekabooing through here. So I'm going to take my Mama brush and just pure white paint to begin with. And I'm going to go ahead and push into that shape. So I just hold the brush down like a pencil and just twist it out into a circle, like a half circle. And it'll twist the little bristles out and just twist them out into a circle. Because the pressure that you apply to the brush kind of makes the bristles all fan out. And then you can see I've got a little excess happening here, so then you can kind of do one more firm press and then feather that back into the center. All right, so let's do this again. You could also use a smaller brush for this too if you wanted to. So let me show you what I mean on that. So you could do your little buddy. And so you're going to get smaller little clouds. You're going to have a little bit more control for tinier little circles. So that's totally up to you. All right, I'm going to go back to Mama. Just make mine a little bit bigger. And then just kind of lightly feather that out on the inside. Let's go up here. Got one more. And feather it out. All right, so you can leave them just like that if you want to, or you can add a little accent of color to it. So we're going to do a little accent. So I'm going to come in with my cadmium red and my little bit brush. And just do a little echo of that line. Maybe a little bit of that pink too. Then I overlap over the top. Let's see. Little buddy. More white paint. Soft overlap. It gives me a soft blend. And I am getting a little bit of a dig into the paint. I'm going to correct that here in a second by just feathering it back out with the flat side of the brush. But I'm concentrating first on just doing a soft blend into that accent color. Do a quick wipe. I don't want any more of that residual darker color in the mix. Then I'll go back into the pure white and then just kind of lightly feather this in over the top. All right, very pretty. Now you can also do lighter colors, like a cadmium yellow is also quite lovely. So let's try some of that. Put that down there for a second. So here's my cadmium yellow. Need a little bit more of that. I still have a little bit of pink over here, so I'll probably go back and forth between that cadmium yellow and the pink. So it's a pretty accent to have that, those gold tones. Now let's go pink. So just a fun, kind of stylized way to handle this. All right, now let's push back in. Try to get a bigger little bit brush this time. Slight overlap. So I overlap that darker color a little bit, and then sometimes what I have to do, because I picked up that darker color or that different shade, I'll have to do a quick little wipe off on the plate just to release that, and then I'll come back in with a little bit more of that pure white. And then just a light little crisscross back and forth. And then I can take a bigger brush, let's go back in with the little buddy and the soft feathering in of the white right over the top. A little bit of a crisscross action over the top here, using the flat side of the brush over the surface area. Kind of feather that into the middle. Hit this one up a little bit too, so it's just more of a pure white right in the center. Yay! It's looking so good. I think we're done. I think so. Awesome, awesome. All right, so we are done with our cute little scarecrow. So lovely. And everything you need is on our website, just tipsyartist.com. So we have the traceable on this one. There's a lot of detail on this one that you just really, it's very difficult to get all that detail with a template. So we do have a traceable for this one. Makes it super easy with the graphite paper to transfer it all over. And then of course it also comes with paints, and then brushes and the canvas. That's the whole kit. The whole kit and caboodle. So super, super fun. And I know we're running a special on that too, so be sure and check that out. And yeah, we're done. We're done for today. Good job, everybody. So we will see you tomorrow. I cannot remember, you know, if y'all have been painting with me for a while, you know I can't remember what the next day brings. I'm definitely living in the moment day by day, but I know I'm painting tomorrow. So check that out on our Facebook event calendar, see what I'm doing, and I will meet y'all back here at 12:30 tomorrow. So y'all have a beautiful rest of the day, and we'll see you soon. Mwah.